All right. Seed Talk. We live. Stuff to make your seeds walk. In specific, Bobby Seed. Shout out to what's the young brother's name? Your son, Braylon. He is getting so handsome
and loud.
And you know what? And I put up this front, because I always be trying to get on your crown, you know what I'm saying? But he is getting handsome because he is starting to look a lot like you. His little bags underneath his eyes are cute.
He'll grow into it.
Calling him what did you call this brother?
Oh, his nickname is Benjamin Button.
Man, he's darker than you, dude.
Cut that out. I got hit by Deanna too for that.
Bro, cut that out. Cut that out. He's darker than you, bro.
He passed me up already.
Yeah.
Okay. His first little couple of waves on his head today. I was like, what?
Okay. Second of all, I'm passing out compliments to start off the show. I'm gonna let some people get in the room right now. Go ahead, tag your people. Make sure you share this. If you know how to give out stars, give out some stars to Seed Talk. Figure out how to do it. I don't know if Bobby and Precious are eligible for stars, but if Bobby and Precious could put their Cash App or their Venmo in the comments, we need to start getting donations for our time, for real. And I'm passing out comments and compliments. Precious out here got the guns out in Texas. I know it's scary, but she's got them out tonight. Okay, I see you.
I had to slip this on because you were taking so long. I was going to slip in the shower, and then you came out and said, dang, I just need to throw on something. So I just grabbed something out my pocket.
Wow. It's already cold over here. You got to put a little shade on me and mix company. I was taking too long. Dang, Precious, out of all people, I thought you always had my back. Damn.
I had your bag. Like, man, you taking forever. I'm doing this long. I said, you know what? I'm going to jump in the shower real quick. And I was like, I was like, oh, dang it. I'm over here butt naked. I was like, let me grab something real fast.
So anyways, I'm going to let y'all get in the room. Please share this. If you want to donate to my time, Cash App, $Logic I'm in, Venmo, Logic I'm in. Bobby can put his stuff in there. Precious can put their stuff in the comments.
It's Paid Precious P. That's my Cash App.
Dare I say that your Precious P name really sounds like an exotic dancer name, but hey.
We already sounded like we got a link at the top of our Instagram. It's already sounding like we got a link tree.
Well, shout out to Carmelita and then shout out to Bobby because, they always talking about, Seed Talk, could be big and we need to be better. Logic, you need to be better promoting it. You need to be better, being consistent and telling people to share it and, donate. And so that's what I'm trying to do better, man. That's not my expertise. My expertise is being an educator and an artist. So I need help. If you want to be on the Seed Talk show, inbox me or Bobby or Precious or even inbox Carmelita. She's been doing some freelance producing for us and whatnot. So I want to really just get into it, man. Bobby came to us with this topic. Man, I gotta admit, I'm really impressed. Not like I gotta admit that I'm impressed by Bobby. I'm constantly impressed by Bobby and his intelligence, but I've never had this topic come up before. So I'm gonna let him introduce it, and y'all can go ahead and chime in and tell us what you think. It's a good one.
So for those of you that don't know, I have been in the past the vice president of the Martin Luther King Coalition in King County, which is the organization that puts on the march that happens every year in King County. This year was our 40th consecutive. And we have this planning committee, which we call Coalition, that meets every other Tuesday for about 5 months a year. And we have to deal with a lot of different questions with respect to our event. And this year, for the first time in 3 years because of COVID, we had a job fair. But one of the questions that came up during the job fair was whether or not we would allow Amazon to participate in the job fair, given what people perceive to be as their net impact on housing in King County and how that is affected African Americans, specifically with respect to gentrification. And so the conversation that came up was whether or not that was something that we should allow, that Amazon should be allowed to be a part of our job fair. And then a similar question came up again with respect to the police, because at the conclusion of our event this year, which was successful, somebody sent an email suggesting that they were quote unquote triggered by the police because they had been beaten by them before, et cetera, et cetera. They have a negative personal relationship with law enforcement. And as a result, they were disappointed in the coalition for not being aware of how the police presence might impact some people in the community, and that it dissuaded him from pursuing a job at this job fair. And so that ended up in a very swift cause of action where some people on the coalition felt that we should call for a vote to ban law enforcement from participating in the job fair, to which I strongly opposed. But it still raised this question because the response that I got from my comment was that we, quote unquote, have an obligation to discourage people from some kinds of employment. And Amazon and the police and the quote unquote other organizations that do harm to our community should not be organizations that we hold up as potential employers. And that was the thesis statement that I was sort of left with, and I've been wrestling with for quite some time since I heard it.
Why are you wrestling with it though?
Well, I wrestle with it because I think that in King County, in Seattle, the politics of the region are set up to where there's a lot of virtue signaling. So there's a lot of people who want to say the right thing, or they want to look like they're upholding the correct values. But it doesn't always have the practicality that I believe in. And so sometimes I just wonder if it's just pure politics. Like, do I just disagree with these people because I am not trying to sound good? I am trying to do what makes the most sense for individual people. And so my belief is that I'm not going to tell anybody where they're allowed to work. I'm not going to tell anybody that if you work for this particular place, that you're not technically supporting our community, or you're a part of the negative, you're the reason our community is hurting, et cetera, et cetera. I don't get into that. People have jobs because they got to pay bills. And if I'm not going to pay your bills, I'm sure as hell not going to tell you where you're allowed to work. And to me, it's a restriction, in my opinion, on the kinds of employment that people can have. And as you will eventually say tonight, Logic, it is a restriction on how people respond to our crass consumer capitalist society that includes racism. It's like, oh, so if I want to do some illicit black market activities, we can support that. I can make a song about it. I can be supported and held up as a legend in my community. People can do a painting of me and have other folks say, when I'm not included in the painting because I killed somebody, oh, he should have been included in that painting because he's a legend in the community. But we can't have somebody who works for Amazon here. I just can't. It's too much for me. I can't do it. I want to support people supporting themselves, and I want to respect people's individual choices. So that's my position.
Basically, what you just now said is exploitation is okay as long as we do it to ourselves.
I'm thinking exploitation is a feature of capitalism. And I think that a lot of times,
this is a big conversation.
I think what people a lot of times do is they want you to prepare for what's after capitalism, almost like, well, that job shouldn't exist anymore, so let's pretend it doesn't exist. I'm like, yeah, but in the meantime, how do we pay the bills? Because not only does my mortgage exist, but that job does exist. And the thing that you're talking about that's going to replace it, that we're going to cause by this boycott, we can't do that in every industry. Somebody's got to go to work. So I just struggle with that.
I thought that's what you meant when you said, oh, don't go work for the police department because they're killing black folks and exploiting black folks. Don't go work for Amazon. It's crass consumer capitalism. They're getting over on black folks. But you can make a song and be heralded and recognized and celebrated for doing exactly the same thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
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 Yeah, so we're saying the same thing. So basically what you're saying is cognitive dissonance, that it's okay if we do it to ourselves, but it's not okay if her oppressor does it to her.
Correct.
Yeah, I could totally agree with. I think I've said
And
that.
I understand why people do that. It's tough, man. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, man. I support if we do it to ourselves first, than someone else that doesn't look like us. And I can expand on that later, or I can do it now. But I want Precious to talk. But no, I'll just do it later.
Okay.
I want to see what Precious has to say because she has some really good stuff to say.
In regard to this organization, I mean, I don't know if we have anything like that here in Texas. They probably do. I'm just not aware of it. But anyways, back to what I was saying behind the scenes was for these Black organizations to have such an expectation or standard, I have to add, do they have enough jobs for every single Black person who is looking for employment? Because if they don't have enough, what do you expect the Black people in your community to do to take care of themselves and their families? Like, how many job opportunities do they actually have? And another thing I was looking at is, what about the Black people that we already know who are in those institutions right now, who can actually get more Black people on board because they have some sort of connection or they know the ways to get inside the job that's still helping your community because you help them getting them employment. So for them to, I mean, do you have to join the law enforcement? No, you don't have to join it, but let's not act like there are Black people who are in the law enforcement despite what the issue with police brutality is going on, despite that. So in Amazon, I mean, Amazon is a job. I mean, I never heard nobody, I mean, I don't know nobody personally, I don't think, who worked for Amazon, but I ain't heard nobody complain about it. I mean, there's probably some issues with Amazon, I hear on the news here and there, but nonetheless, it's a job. So unless these Black organizations are going to create jobs or have a job for every single Black person, even young Black people who are age 16, 17, so they can start building up their resume pretty early, I think it's very unrealistic to have those sort of stipulations. Oh no, you can't work here, or you can't work there. Well, what else you got for them, or what's the solution if you're not going to help them? But yeah, that's my stance so far.
That's a great point, Precious, because that's how they get us every time. That's how they got Dion. Did they not get Dion like that?
Elaborate. I'm sorry.
A historically Black university hired Deion Sanders to be their coach.
Correct.
Feel me? Then he left them to make, is it safe to say, Bobby, an extraordinary more amount of money?
And a higher quality of life and an opportunity to purchase property.
So that's how they get us. Because he could easily say, my mind changed. I gave back to that HBCU and their programs in their institution. My mind changed because they couldn't put a better offer on the table when it came to a monetary return. Now, I hang around a lot of socialists, Black and brown. I hang around a lot of capitalists. I specifically hang around some Filipino, Pinoy, did I say capitalists? Well, I do hang around a lot of capitalists. I meant communists. Well, do I mean communists? No. Socialists. Pardon self. I've been known to hang around a lot of socialists. And here's the deal. We'll sit around. We'll have some drinks. We'll eat some food. And they'll be like, capitalism is the enemy. Socialism is the answer. And then, Mao will come up, Marx, Lenin, all this stuff will come up. I was like, that sounds great, man. First thing that comes out of my mouth, Bobby and Precious, is, so you want me to accept the fact that my people our people on this platform gave their life, gave their bodies, their sweat and their blood to create a system. And then when it finally comes the opportunity for them to benefit from it, you tell them everything you got to spread it equally with people who don't have what you got. No. And you know what they do, Bobby and Precious? I swear to you, this happened. They just stare at me. Because sometimes I'm the only black person at the table. So you mean to tell me I have an opportunity, my people have an opportunity to benefit from this capitalist framework, and you telling me, nah, share it. Share with everybody. No, not doing that.
You're from the Midwest. This is hilarious. Because Deanna's from Detroit, and Deanna's position on this is the same. She's like, we did not do that poverty thing, so that somebody could tell me how much money I can make. It's not happening.
So I'm with Precious. So you're going to tell me not to take the job at Amazon, not to be a law enforcement agent, whatever. Shoot, not even to go. Don't go to the military. That's another thing. That's another thing.
Let's not act like they've been pushing not to go to college too.
That too. But that's kind of different than the military. That's a whole different segment because college will get you in debt.
Yeah,
sure. The military won't necessarily get you in debt. That's a whole different episode. But what I'm saying is, what Precious said is basically, and I've been there. All right, what you got for me then? Who's accepting resumes? When can I interview? And what the pay look like? Because I've been through this before. You're asking me to do the same thing the slave master did. Am I right or am I wrong? You're asking me to work for less than what I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm qualified to do.
Look,
and that means something. My cost of living means something when it comes to generational wealth and security. So you want me to give up my opportunity, my pension with the white man. You want me to give up all my different benefits, health care, dental care, so I can go work for your community center and you tell me to take turmeric and vitamin D and zinc? And you got how to grow spinach?
I need some lemonade for this.
Nah, man, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, man, but it's disrespectful for you to disrespect what I already developed and I maintain. Come to my house and see how I live and then ask me that question. Man, I can't do this to you, man.
I totally agree with what you're saying.
Make sure you get paid. We're going to make sure you get paid. Because, look, here's the deal. Let me tell you something real quick, and I don't want to let you talk, Precious. King was hanging out in the South, doing his thing. You see me? While Malcolm was disrespecting him, calling him Uncle Tom and doing all this stuff, right? And Martin didn't get it. Then he went to Chicago. He went on his northern tour.
Figured it out.
And he was like, God dang. It ain't like this in the South. Black people in the South is sticking together. You see me? If you ain't got no sugar, you can go knock on the door. But then the South had it down, man. That's what I love about the South. They taught us collective and cooperative economics. If you look at a lot of the Black Wall Streets, because there was a lot of them. There wasn't just the one in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was all over the country. Mm-hmm. They were mainly in the South. Because when Black people went up north, they were trying to gang in employment with an integration framework, not a segregated framework. We're like, hey, we got to go get this white money. Let's go work in their factories. And then white people's like, hold on. Let's start these unions. Hold on. You ain't going to be taking all our jobs. Y'all way too skilled. Y'all know way too much, and we don't know a lot because we've been sitting around watching y'all work. You know? But the point I'm trying to make is when he went up there, he saw that his children started acting differently, misbehaving, and he drew the connection to the environment and the conditions that were just categorically different than the South. It was just different. My point is when you start telling people to change how they gain income and to stabilize their financial, you know what I'm saying, intake without looking at how their family functions based on how much money they're making, I think that's irresponsible.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah.
You could be disrupting a whole household, man. The family that's making, mom and dad is both working for Amazon, Boeing's a big one. Whew. In Seattle, Boeing's big. Say they're making 150, 200K a year.
I mean, for statistics logic, and I don't know, we'll just remove Boeing from this, but other than Boeing, there is no other corporation in King County that employs more Black people at $20 an hour than Amazon. There is not. That's a statistical fact.
Well, let me ask you a question. What's the beef with Amazon?
Well, people hold Amazon accountable for the dramatic increase in the cost of living in King County. People have made this causation versus correlation argument that I think it has merit, but I think that it's an oversimplification because like Norm Rice revitalized downtown in the mid 90s, and that's when the gentrification started, right? But I love Norm Rice because I love downtown Seattle, or I did, what it used to be, because what he did for the city was he made us an international city. That's what Norm Rice did. Now, on the flip side, there's a lot of people in the community, which I learned last time I was on, and I did more research on it, that are upset with him because, like so many other things, if you benefit the collective, a lot of times it hurts Black people specifically.
Absolutely.
But there were some Black people that also benefited from that. Just not so many that the numbers are balanced. And so like the economics of downtown Seattle started changing in the 90s, but because Amazon came in at the end and kicked the door down, I think a lot of people blame Amazon for what has happened with housing in King County and the Yesler Terrace and all that stuff they attribute to Amazon, when really they should attribute it to about 3 different decades of development and urban development in King County that was great for the pockets of the city. But
it started before Amazon, but it's fair to say that Amazon got the assist and they're dunking right now.
Oh, it's the oop.
They're definitely dunking.
Yeah, I mean, and Amazon pretty much outbidding every single sort of consumer when it comes to buying products. They got everyone about damn deep beat. Especially if you got Prime, you getting your shit the next day. That's smoking so many competitors, and when you got small businesses or whatnot, they pretty much getting washed off. So yeah, I can definitely see how that's Amazon jacking things up over there.
Well, I mean, it's more about physical property. So, in Texas, I'm not sure if there was ever a part of Houston that wasn't developed, but the city of Seattle, the waterfront property on South Lake Union for a long time was the pits. It was not a place that people wanted to spend time. And as a result of that, there was a lot of low-income housing within 3 miles of the center of the city, the economic center, which I would consider between like 2nd and Pike and 4th and Seneca, or 6th and Seneca. So that, like within 3 miles, okay, Amazon came and bought the entire South Lake Union, like the entire area. They purchased it all at once. And in a 5-year window, T-Mobile, Google, Amazon, Zappos, and I want to say like Redfin, all populated that area, and Facebook. And there's all these corporations that came in and filled that land. And all of a sudden, there was no housing in that area where, frankly, people used to live and be able to bus inside the city and work in the city. And that just changed overnight, or that's how people perceive it. But that's the beef with Amazon. And I'm sure that there's people who up on the stand more to say about
Look, man, I'm not going to gaslight people and play with people's emotion. We know what they mean when they say it happened overnight, right? If it happened in 10 years or less, in the span of Earth's story or his story, whatever you want to call it,
It's a blink.
that is really literally overnight.
Yeah.
That is 10 years ain't nothing. And it really did, as a person who's been living here for over 30 years, Bobby, it really did happen overnight. It was really fast.
Sure.
But like you said, Seattle's a gold mine, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. It is a beautiful downtown. There's a lot of stuff to do. It's recovering because of COVID. However, Black people in Seattle specifically, and I'm gonna let Precious talk about where she's at over there in Texas. We got to be clear of how we go about where we're from. I mean, you can't change where you're from, man. You can't. And if you're gonna be proud of this city, it comes with being proud of the Mariners. It comes with being proud of the Seahawks. It definitely becomes being proud of the Sonics. It becomes being proud of the Space Needle, your skyline, your waterfront, all that. All that is capitalism. So you want to get down and gritty. Yeah, we proud of Africa Town too. Shout out to, blessings to White King. But that's not what our city is known for. And that's not what we're proud of. We're proud of. Let's be clear. Let me put things in perspective. We are proud of the affluent Black people who have taken advantage of the opportunity of capitalism and flourished in this city. We are proud of the Central District. We're not proud of the Central District because it was some freaking slum. You know what I'm saying? Resembling some third world country. No, we're proud of the Central District because from Jackson all the way down, from 23rd all the way down into what is the International District, was nothing but Black people. We owned all that. The Asians only owned Pioneer Square. You got to do your history. We are proud because Black people were some of the best bootleggers in the city, serving our people illegal alcohol. We are proud because, you know what I'm saying, we had the Black and Tan Club here, which was big. You know what I'm saying? We are proud of the Black venture capitalists in our city. I mean, and that, let's just be real about it. This is where we're at because we're finally able to, benefit from, crass consumer capitalism. So let's do it. My thing is get the money, create the venture capitalists, and then figure out how to be more conscious, aware, and healthy with that money. So you want to shut down stuff like Amazon and, the capitalistic, aspect and features of it. Okay, then you don't want the Negro Leagues. Stop celebrating Negro Leagues. The Negro Leagues were funded by Black organized crime. That's a fact. That's a fact. There would be no Negro Leagues without Black organized crime. So, I mean, we just got to figure it out, man, because this whole being humble and living off the land, like we ain't got the land, man. We got websites. We got .coms. We got LLCs. If you want to get into those farmer politics, go ahead and go down south. Because right now, presently, that's a real deal. Right now, presently, the farmers in the South have the biggest payout and the biggest example of reparations in the history of the United States from what the USDA did to them. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. That's really the only form of reparations black people has ever gotten is black farmers. You're not getting that up here in Seattle and most metropolitan cities that, black people are, struggling in. You're just not, man. I mean, shout out to Finley over there in South Central, LA, guerrilla gardening. Ron Finley, shout out to him. Yeah, but the city came in, writing him all the time, tickets, trying to send him to jail for growing food, on the sidewalk. Figure it out. I think we really need to utilize these LLCs, these .coms, and all that. Shout out to black women. Last time I checked, I mean, they're the highest rising, black business owners, in the United States.
And homeowners too.
Yeah, they're doing it. And just think that where we would have been at least a century ago if we gave them the opportunities to do so. You know what I mean? Madam C.J. Walkers there would have been. It's not even funny, man. What you think, Precious?
I think you hit it dead on the nail. I mean, I'm surprised to hear something like that myself. I'm like, really? Because I know they just built a Tesla organization just not too far from where I live. Like, I want to say it's on Mopac, somewhere down this way. And it became a really big opportunity for people in my hometown who travels there to make the money. Because I think they started making $18, $20 up there as well, and more than that. So Killeen, which is where I'm originally from, where it's still, I believe it's still in the top 5 cheapest places to live in the United States. Yes, it's still in the top 5. Wow. Huh?
I said, oh, wow. Really?
Yes. Killeen has always been one of the cheapest places to live in the whole United States. Yep. I kid you not. And for $20 for Killeen, to bring that back, like we had rents for a whole minute for like $600, $700. It'd be like houses that you could rent from. I'm pretty sure it probably went up by now because, with COVID and all the other stuff, but nonetheless, it's still pretty affordable to live in Killeen. But just to see people able to make that money at Tesla to take back to Killeen is a really, really good thing, because that's kind of how I got out here to Austin, because Austin was making more money. It gave more money. It was just way more opportunity, because this is kind of like a techie city. So I had a guy, and I was trying to bring that up. That was a guy who I was talking to for a little bit, who wanted me to quit my federal job that I not only make literally 3 times what I make when I'm living in Killeen, with a pension as well, like you, to join his organization. I'm like, what exactly am I going to be doing? Is this organization even on the rise right now? Like, what is the benefits of this? How am I get paid? What is what is the incentive here? And he had nothing to give to me. I said, absolutely not. He said, you could be your own owner. Yeah, but I want to be my own owner if I'm working for you. But back on subject, I think Black people have to know how to really say it. You're going to have to make the money what you best on based on your skill. If you could get it done through a Black organization, cool. But I find it ridiculous and unrealistic to limit somebody's opportunity like that, especially if they got really good talent, that they can make a really good living. I just think that's very unrealistic. I'm even shocked to hear something like that.
Yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
I think for me, part of the reason why I was so frustrated about it is that I know for a certified fact that I could extend that argument out to my own profession. Like, yes, my profession does harm to Black people. Yes, it does. Does that mean that I should vacate the profession so that the negative impacts of a lack of diversity in the power holding positions only gets worse? Should I say, oh, you know what? It's really, really unfortunate that most of the people who have the most power in the criminal justice system are white. Let's make it a little bit whiter. I'll quit my job so that I can say my hands are clean. No, I'm not doing that, because that's virtue signaling. That's somebody who wants me to show them that I'm good. I don't care if you think I'm good. And I think that there's so much emphasis put on making sure that people think that you're good, but at the same time, I would not only be foregoing the ability to make change, but I would be foregoing the financial security associated with it. And it makes no sense to me why I would do either one of those things, because it's not good for me or my family. And I don't understand why we ask people to do stuff like that.
You know, for those who have that sort of mindset, I'd be wondering what kind of. I'm not saying that you should expect something out of this niche group of people, because I know I don't. It's again, it's unrealistic. But I'd be wondering what they think of the small percentage of black millionaire to billionaire that we actually do have. Do they expect them to do the exact same thing? Do
Their
you
hands
expect?
are dirty.
Huh?
Their hands are definitely dirty because they're
Their hands are the dirtiest of the dirtiest. So
That's what I'm saying.
it kind of just makes me wonder, like, if you have how you have such a extreme expectation for those who are on a micro level, like yourself, who are trying to make buy. It kind of makes me wonder: do you have this same sentiment for those who actually are in the 1%, who could actually probably can donate something? I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying on content, they actually could donate some of their money, and they actually still would be financially okay to still live the same comfortable way. And something tell me they don't hold those celebrities to at that particular standard. But something tell me they probably idolize those particular celebrities. So I think this is another way to trying to cripple somebody. I really do. I think that's a way to cripple somebody.
So I got a scenario for y'all. So say you're doing an event, say you're doing a job fair, and people know that you have this list of, companies and entities and organizations that are coming to the job fair, and they see companies on there and organizations like Amazon on there, law enforcement in your city or in your vicinity. And they're like, nah, man, I can't even participate in this. Can't even do it. And I'm not even going to promote it. I can't even do it. Do you take those names off? Do you say, okay, well, just tell us the names of the entities, the organizations and institutions that you don't think should be on the list, and I'll remove them, knowing that once you destroy that partnership, that could mean you'll lose funding for another job fair, or partnerships for opportunities for Black people who really do want to get those jobs. What do? Do you take the names of the institutions and the organizations that people don't agree with and they say that they're anti-Black, or do you leave them on there and have the job fair?
Or leave on them have the job fair, because they only can speak for their own personal stance. They can't speak for the entire community. So they can't speak for the whole community. So if they don't want to go to those sort of events because those particular institutions are there, that's their right. Ain't nobody going to stop them. Ain't nobody going to drag them by their hoodie to drag them at the job fair. But there is somebody who is looking for employment. There are some Black people who may be interested in law enforcement or in Amazon or other Black institutions. I mean, hell, we got people in the school institution, and we can say a whole lot about the school and how they treat Black people. So I say this just today, and I say we have to encourage our people to a certain extent to get involved in these sort of institutions, because these type of institutions what molds our society at the end of the day. Whether it's the school, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's healthcare, and healthcare is another thing that can be anti-Black, but we need healthcare. We need it. So a lot of institutions that shapes our society is anti-Black. But if we encourage the community to look, you may not like what this institution are doing, but someone like yourself can be the start of the chain to make a difference. But the question is, do you want to do it? And no, that's not saying putting on one single person. All it takes is somebody to start it up and somebody could add in the chain, and somebody else come through and add on to it. But again, it all depends on what the community really wants.
What'd you do, Bobby? That's a good question.
I'm likely going to get fired essentially from my role because I won't capitulate. I will not pretend that I think that they're right. But as a result of that, I'm going to just be very unpopular. And speaking up on these things in this political environment, people will frame you as a bootlicker, which is very interesting to me, that I would be positioned that way. But I would rather be positioned that way than capitulate so that I can say that I sound right, because that holds no value to me. So I can totally see myself not retaining the position at this point, because what I would like to see happen is for us to do a better job at advertising who will be there so that people who are uncomfortable will not show up. That is, in my opinion, in the language of the court, the least restrictive solution. Because if the alternative is to say Amazon cannot be a part of it, then I am removing one of the only employers who truly can hire people on the spot. I am removing one of the only employers who truly can pay people $20 an hour starting off. I am removing, and then if I remove law enforcement, I'm removing the chief antagonist of the community in terms of organizations that need to be changed culturally. And members and people who show up to my event are people who are culturally aware. I want them to join, frankly. Secondly, that is a six-figure career. I am not going to be removing the opportunity for people to make six figures because some people don't like them. I don't believe in that. It is overreach, in my opinion. So I would rather not be associated with it, frankly, than I don't need to retain the position at the cost of doing something that I believe is so problematic. So that's what I'll tell you.
Yeah. But here's my question. You hear this argument a lot, right? The integration did more bad than it did good for Black people. We hear that a lot because they desegregated everything, and then they were able to take, some of the best talent, and we weren't able to establish anything for ourselves because we were in direct competition with a group of people and a group of institutions that had more power and privilege than us. We took away our power and privilege when we weren't segregated. But so isn't that part of the problem, that white employers dominating our job fairs and recruiting the best talent? Like, if you have a job fair and the majority of the employers there are white companies and institutions, I mean, like, doesn't that just reinforce the same, cycle? It's the same cycle of them just recruiting the best talent. So I can't see it on the other end if you just tell them, that they can't be there, But then again, the job fair might not happen, but it does just keep the cycle going of white institutions and white companies, recruiting.
I think that's legitimate.
Talent.
That's legitimate. Yeah. That's legitimate.
Yeah, it is. And I kind of go back to the whole Deion Sanders situation. They went and grabbed someone who had immense influence and talent, and they offered him an offer he couldn't refuse, and he left to go over there. So yeah, it all goes back to that. Yes, it does. It does.
But at the same time, my perspective is that the job fair is open to any employer who wants to sign up.
Correct.
So for me, I know for a fact that our organization would prioritize Black employers if they were signing up. And so it's like, it's not as if that table is there's an opportunity cost associated with law enforcement joining because there's somebody else who could have taken that table. If that was the case, I would say that's a really strong argument because it's not about the politics of the organization. It's about the opportunity costs, right? I totally understand that. I think that would be, I would love to have that problem, but we don't have that problem. We're struggling to get enough people who can come to the job fair and actually hire somebody from the community. Because the whole point of the job fair is that people can actually leave our event with a job.
Right.
So who's prepared to do that, right? Who is actually prepared to do it? And I think if you're going to remove law enforcement, you remove them because they don't actually hire people on the spot, right? Like the law enforcement process takes a long time to be hired. I can tell you that myself. So if you want to disqualify them because they don't meet your parameters of offering a job on the spot. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it if you want to disqualify them. But because that argument is not being raised, I'm not hearing it, right? Because I know what it's really about. It's about all that other stuff. So it's like, I wish that we had that problem logic, but we don't. That would be a great problem to have. It would be a great problem to say we have so many black employers that could have taken that spot, but we don't. They're not signing up like that. And maybe that's a lesson for us. Maybe we need to go out and find them.
Yeah, I think that if anyone came to a job fair organizational meeting and they said, they looked at the roster and they said, Amazon, law enforcement, this white employer, they're anti-black, they're racist, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop. Feel me? I can't be a part of this. I will push back and say, if you got 5 companies or institutions that you feel are anti-black, then go bring me 10 that you feel are pro-black. And not only pro-black and or black owned to add a part of this so we can really push them. So everyone that law enforcement, Amazon, or all those other companies don't hire, they can at least get a job there or an internship or something. And I also will go to law enforcement, and I will also go to Amazon and all the quote unquote anti-black, it's not quote, but the anti-black institutions, and see what kind of partnership can they build with these black owned businesses to try to provide some kind of competitive, you know what I'm saying, salaries. I know that's a little bit the competitive salary thing, that's a little unrealistic, but what kind of partnerships can you do to create job opportunities for people? If they don't want to work for Amazon, they don't want to do it because they're anti-capitalism. They don't want to work for law enforcement because they're oppressor and they're abolitionists. Then what can you do? Can law enforcement work with people in the community and train them and teach them the law of how to do community policing? Because I know there's brothers and sisters that would sign up for that. I don't want to work for y'all, but tell me how to, navigate the system. You know what I mean? And law enforcement, they get a bad rap. I understand that. But community policing is a part of, their strategies, their strategic plan. It is a term in their lexicon, community policing. So, I will push back and hold them accountable and responsible for teaching the people how to community police, and not only community police, but actually create job opportunities through, that lane.
And that kind of reminds me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. That kind of reminds me how some of the colleges out here, like particularly the nursing program, like once they graduate, already created a pipeline for them to go to one of the hospitals in the city. Like they already created that sort of line. So it's like with HBCUs, for instance, I know they got, none of them have nursing program. I'm not sure if they work that. I wonder if they have that pipeline to where from once they done with schooling or in school, they have that sort of connection to the hospitals or any place that's a medical facility to create that sort of opportunity. I don't know if they do stuff like that. I know what white institutions they do, but I'm not sure what HBCUs do it though. That's another thing they could done.
Yeah. Um, I know that Amazon law enforcement have money allocated to pay people to come speak to them about, you know what I'm saying, their concerns. So if you don't agree with law enforcement, Amazon, and other anti-Black establishment, what better way to get over and work smarter than harder than to get them to pay you to tell them what you don't like?
Well,
Infiltration.
the kicker is that, and again, I spoke on this earlier. Righteousness is not my favorite thing. There was a point in time this year where we got a check from Amazon, and people decided we were too good to accept the check. And that was a problem for me, because I was like, oh, so the long-term sustainability of this organization is not as important as us feeling good about ourselves. That's what it meant to me. So when I hear something like that, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense, but I can't guarantee that people would respond well to it, because like I was saying, I think that people a lot of times put their politics in front of the objective, whatever the objective is. And that's become a thing from a leadership perspective that I'm really struggling with. I'm trying to figure out how to manage, how do you lead in an organization when you have the responsibility to make sure that things continue. You have the responsibility to make sure that things go well. But people feel like they want to enforce their values as rules, and that it handcuffs you. And then you're going to be wrong because you're not taking the most righteous position. You're not taking the position that sounds the best. And that's why I continue to come back to that. If we do the logical experiment of talking about every institution's role in society, and I think we do this sometimes, we'll find that almost every institution has a consequence for Black people, like every single one. You get into housing, the people who do the appraisals, they discriminate. So you can't be an appraiser. You work for the hospitals. If you're a doctor, the doctors do not issue pain meds equally, right? And my grandfather, for example, died prematurely because they did open heart surgery on him at 86 that was exploratory. And that would never happen to a white person. We can talk about the police. We do it all the time. We can talk about the schools with the prison pipeline. We can talk about if you work in DSHS or one of these social welfare organizations, how they do the fraud investigations on Black people who apply at higher rates. Like
CPS.
That's the next one. So you can't work. So you just cannot participate in any of this. What are we supposed to do? I just want to know. What are we allowed to do? How are we allowed to participate in the economy? Where can I go except to be a community organizer and professional marcher? Where am I supposed to go? I'm curious.
That's a good question. I think that leads right into our plan of action. You want to stay at Bobby? Let's stay at Bobby. Like, you know, what's your plan of action when we're talking about should we encourage, you know, Black people to join the police force, Amazon, and other institutions that have been historically anti-Black? What's your plan of action?
I'm going to always encourage people to be employed. Always. I don't care necessarily what kind of employment it is, so long as it's not employment that puts them in harm's way or in jeopardy of being incarcerated, for example. But I also understand some people are going to do stuff that puts them in jeopardy of being incarcerated, And then I'm going to say, please don't get caught, like, because then you end up on my desk. But for the most part, my position is pay your bills, be there for your kids. Like that's always going to be my position. And I think that, and I've talked about this numerous times, it came up with the Deion Sanders thing. There's just not enough opportunities for Black people in this country for us to tell Black people that they should X stuff off their list. The list is just not long enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that there's so many opportunities that we start telling Black people to avoid stuff. No, don't avoid being employed. I'm sorry. So that's my position is do your best to do a job that you can go home and sleep well and pay your bills. If you can't be a prosecutor because you don't want to have your hands dirty, that's fine. If you don't want to be a police officer because you don't want your hands dirty, that's fine. But don't be out here telling other people who are genuinely interested in it and doing a good job at it that they shouldn't do it because you have some political feelings about it that might run counter to your beliefs. Pocket watching. I hate it.
What's your plan of action, Precious?
I have to agree with Bobby. I mean, and that's kind of like I know college is kind of difficult with the deaf thing, but I still feel the same way about college and other things. At the end of the day, we don't have too many. We don't have compared to let's just say our white counterpart. We don't have as much opportunities like them to afford to turn down opportunities that can make the quality of our life better. Those don't come too often. I kind of had a conversation with one of my homies at work. Like, look, like what we looking at here is going to be a branch full of Black women on this federal branch. This is a rare thing that occurs. So this is something that we're not going to turn this down once the offer is given to us. I mean, it's rare do we see this happen in the federal world. So at the end of the day, for people who have those sort of sentiments, I want them to come up with a plan or come up with some sort of institution on their own to make money outside of those parameters of the anti-Black institutions. I mean, I would love to see it, but I don't know if they're ever going to put the money where their mouth, put their money, what do they, put your mouth where the money is, put the money where your mouth is, wherever it is. I don't see that happening because I really don't see them pulling that off. But hey, I could be proven wrong. So people, like Bobby says, please find a way to stay employed. Yeah, I do got the right idea. You absolutely correct. I got the right one. But there was another question. We may have to talk about on the next Seed Talk. And since we talk about employment, do you believe that Black people hold back giving references to other Black people to get a job?
That's deep. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one. And to add on to that, on that topic is if you and another Black person are competing for the same position, do you bow out knowing that they're more qualified than you? Or do you bow out knowing that the competition for this position for a white institution would scar the relationship?
That's another good. I think we talked about the first one, but I think it was on the basis of colorism between the light skinned person and the dark skinned person. I think we talked about that on the Seed Talk. I don't think it was last year, but I believe the year before. Man, I've been on this show a long time. But yeah, I think it's been something like that. But that is a very interesting question because I'm kind of in that predicament myself. So I'm in that predicament right now. So it's.
Yeah, I was in that position at the university.
I'm in that position right now.
Yeah, it was a leadership position, so I can tell a story about what I did.
So yeah, I think we should talk about next time. I don't think we have enough time to talk about that now, but yeah.
But yeah, thank you for that. My plan of action is this, man. As Bobby would say, stop capping, man. Take the new era hats off. Let's just come on, man. Just stop, man. The kufis, the yarmulkes, the beanies. All that, man. The hoodies. Take the caps off. You need to go ahead and lean in to the fact that we all participate in crass consumer capitalism. Yeah. If you ever send out a text message or make a post about crass consumer capitalism, guess what? You just now proved my point. That phone, the lithium battery and then, you know what I'm saying? It all adds to that. There are people mining that are less fortunate and have less privilege than you. You know what I'm saying? That are doing all that work, risking their lives and dying and living way below, you know what I'm saying, your rate of living. So you can send a text message on the toilet.
and I don't
So,
want to add to that.
wait, let me just finish this.
I'm
Write
sorry.
it down so you don't forget. So my point is just lean into it. We're here. We're in this. We're swimming in it. But be a good swimmer. Don't pull anyone under when you're drowning. And what I mean by that, in a capitalist system, there is ways that you can improve upon how you participate in this system, in this framework. There's a certain thing called cause as little harm as possible. That's what you're responsible for. Cause as little, because you're going to have opportunities to get over. You know what it looks like when it happens. You know what it looks like to sell crack to people that, man, have no business doing it. And you know what it looks like, to sell them incense, or edible, or a hat, or a t-shirt, or something that they don't need. But that's different than selling them something that's totally toxic to their health and that's going to limit their life on this earth. You know what it looks like. Don't play games. Take the new era caps off, man. Pun intended when I say caps. Come on, a lot of y'all got caps locked on when it comes to capitalism. You know what I'm saying? You guys gonna start man. You don't have to type in all caps, but come on, man, take the cap off. We're in this. We're doing this. Whether you're selling a bean pie that you know damn well you're selling to someone who's not hungry and they're probably diabetic and it has a whole bunch of cane sugar in it, or you're selling, some incense, or you're selling, you know what I'm saying, a mixtape that they're never going to listen to, and you're not a good artist. You're not a good artist. you made it on a low quality, lackluster sound system. You know it don't sound good, but you're walking up to me and you're trying to sell it to me, and I'm like, nah, I'll just donate. I don't want it. You don't want, no, I don't want it. I don't want I don't want it, bro. First off, it's a cassette tape. I have nothing to play that on. So we're in this. We're in this, and while we're in this, let's just keep it a buck, man. We know that we have a fund. Most of us, even the poorest of us, we have a fund that we just spend on stuff that we don't need. And if I feel like if I tap in and I market and I brand towards that fund that you have to buy things you don't need, I think that's causing as little harm as possible. But if I start to try to tap into something, a fund that I know you really need, and I'm going to cause harm to you financially and health-wise, that I know that's not, what it looks like. And maybe we can have a whole different episode on that. But stop trying to tell people not to benefit from this system. Stop trying to tell people not to go to Amazon so they can make enough money so they can start their own business. You ever thought of that? You ever thought that someone might just need to go to work to Amazon for 2 years because they save money better than you, and they just saving up so they can make that sacrifice so they can start their own business to make a greater and better, more beneficial contribution to their people in their community? Trust in people's plan. How you going to tell, like Bobby said, I'm going to add on to what Bobby said. How you going to tell someone not to go work for a company when you don't even know their plan?
Mm-hmm.
How you know they're not trying to work for law enforcement to change policies and training to benefit your people? How you know they're not going to work for Amazon to be up in upper management to really, really speak to people about, how to really brand and market, to people that look like us? How you know they're not going to work for Amazon to open up more opportunities for Black businesses to sell on that platform? That is crazy that people be like, no, don't go through Amazon. Okay, but you know how many black businesses benefit from Amazon? Put
Hell
this in
yeah.
perspective. My book is on Amazon. It ain't nowhere else. I know that's poor business, acumen for me, but I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. It's nowhere else. It's on Amazon. Why? Because Amazon makes it easy for me to be a business owner. So instead of telling people not to solicit and support Amazon, why don't you just give them a list of black businesses on Amazon to support? Why not? Get on there and tell them to buy from Hebrews to Negroes. Since Amazon can sell whatever they want and Kyrie gets mad just for putting a picture up, you might as well tell them to just go there and buy some stuff, man. Go there and buy some black soap, buy some incense, Hebrews to Negro.
Can I get you a t-shirt with the things at the bottom?
Yeah, man. Hey, go buy the Message to the Black Man. Go buy the Secret Relationship Between Jews and Blacks.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
Suspicious.
It's just all about perspective, man.
And if you got Prime, you should get it the next day.
Yeah, I really want to, I don't really be trying to do this to people, and but I'll be interested, Bobby, and I know you got it in you because you're a petty Pisces like me. Everyone who said I don't feel comfortable that law enforcement is here, I don't feel comfortable that Amazon is here. I want to who you work for.
Well,
Work for.
What I always remind people is that the CEO of this organization works for Amazon, and the COO, me, is a prosecutor. So y'all not that uncomfortable. We always bring that up.
Yeah. And then on top of that, hey, can I come live with you when I can't afford my apartment? And then you got an extra meal. And by the way, I don't eat what you eat. You know what I'm saying? I have diet restrictions. I'm gluten-free.
I can tell you have some interesting dishes. I don't know.
I'm gluten-free. I'm pescatarian. So don't be trying to, feed me all that pork and that, roast beef and, because I know your grocery budget is on slim because you refuse to work for certain entities that could give you more money to, have better quality food. It's being real. Okay. All right.
And before we leave, I want and to add on what you were saying, Logic. If these are the same people who say don't shop on Black Friday, but they shop at every other time of the year through institutions they say not to buy from, all you're doing is missing the sale.
Oh man!
That's all you're doing. All you're doing is missing the sale.
That's a good point. That's a real good.
All you're doing is missing the sale.
Anything you should buy on that day because you getting gouged any other time.
Any other time, if you're going to eat buying from Walmart or Target any part of the year, but you say don't buy on Black Friday, all you're doing is missing the sale, baby.
Man, Black Friday was so I got mad in 2023 for $29.99. I would have paid $59.99 if I had bought it outside of Black Friday.
And with that being said, I may not be spending $500 on a Beyonce ticket, but I am spending $500 to get my PS5 though. That is I'm throwing money.
It's my priority.
Hey man, Abby, priority.
All right, man, I'm out. I got to go make me some food. It's 9 o'clock here. Love y'all. C-Talk. Make sure you guys check out the Griot Party Black History Month celebration experience at Hiawatha Lofts. You know what I'm saying? At 5 p.m. Look it up. I'm going to put a link to the tickets so y'all can come party with us on February 11th. February 11th. That's this Saturday. I'll check you out. Peace, peace, peace. Love y'all.